I'm delighted to be joined from Washington by Khaled Elgindy, a public policy expert who's spent 5 years in Ramallah advising Palestinian leaders. He's now with the Brookings Center for Mideast Policy. And Khaled, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get right to it. How long do you expect this current ceasefire to last?
Well, obviously, just given the events of the last week, it's impossible to say. You know, we thought there had been a ceasefire or, agreement reached, and that was pretty broad in terms of the issues that it covered. And then we had this sudden kind of 1 or 2 day war, resulting, you know, after the botched commando raid into Gaza. And it looked like we were headed right back into another major conflagration like we saw in 2014. But then at the end of the day, cooler heads prevailed, and we were able to avoid that. But you never know. I mean, Gaza is so volatile. The situation, everything about Gaza is destabilizing. Indeed. Obviously, the humanitarian situation is a disaster.
Yes.
2 million people subjected to a 10-year blockade. It really is only a matter of time before things explode again, I'm afraid.
Now, after claiming victory, Hamas is now vowing to lift Israel's blockade on the Strip. And I'm wondering, how realistic is this, and where is Abu Mazen in this whole process? Is he even relevant still for events going on in Gaza?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be political posturing by all parties. The Israeli side, certainly, the Hamas is no different, and they are, of course, eager to spin the events as a victory. I think not least of which because of Defense Minister Lieberman's resignation afterwards. I think they saw that as a major political victory.
Indeed.
For themselves, as well as being able to avoid another major war.
Right.
But you're right about where is Abu Mazen. I think that's the million-dollar question. He's been absent from Gaza for quite a long time. He has refused a number of opportunities to bring the PA back to Gaza. He is unwilling to implement even the reconciliation agreements that he signed with Hamas. And I think there's a real dereliction of leadership in that sense, because that division is only perpetuating Gaza's misery and instability.
Indeed. And on top of it all, this week marks 30 years since Yasser Arafat declared Palestinian independence from exile in Algiers. At that time, he was speaking for the whole of the Palestinian people. And I'm wondering whether this week's events might galvanize greater efforts toward reconciliation among the West Bank and Gaza.
Well, we don't know. I think given the current leadership on the Palestinian side, it's unlikely, I think, that we're going to see any real movement towards Palestinian reconciliation. Simply because we've had the conditions for reconciliation. There are agreements for reconciliation for many years, but both sides really seem to be not that willing to sort of move ahead with it. And I would say particularly the leadership of Mahmoud Abbas. And I think we're unlikely to see movement toward Palestinian reconciliation until we have a different leadership in Ramallah, I'm afraid.